Hello, it's me, the Bad Catholic. And I am doing another installment of pro-life theory, strategy, and tactics arguments. The name gets longer every time I do an installment, apparently. In my last installment, I promoted the need for our being able to give our opponents an intellectual way out, or a retreat. I said this was because of the manner of our presupposition and how the arguments and views between our sides has formed. This is because our position is, rightly, that abortion is murder, and any argument to condone it is one that excuses homicide on demand. I think we have all had the experience of the defensive nature of an abortion advocate when we make our arguments. We tend to get offended statements of, "Oh, so my girlfriend's a murderer then," or "It's not a person." The reason for this is that we are saying that they are murderers. We don't even need to say it, and our opponents walk away with the point. Therefore, it's time to stop dancing around this particular bush on this. If you're speaking to a woman who's committed an abortion, she's more than likely not going to admit it. But she will get incredibly defensive and militant because it doesn't take a master's degree in logic and philosophy to realize that if a fetus is a human being and you intentionally killed it, you're a murderer. It's been my experience that even if the woman hates and regrets what she did, she will never acknowledge it. Why? Because she does not have a dignified avenue of retreat. If one commits murder, one is tried for it. This is a stumbling block to bringing people to our side that would otherwise want to do so. Now, I'm not a big fan of claiming victimhood, but in many cases, abortion advocates are victims of a sustained propaganda campaign, all the way from elementary school up to university. They have been preyed upon by teachers that had authority over them and could control the discourse away from logic and reason in the pro-life position. Not to mention the folks that profit from abortions and the said crimes being allowed to contribute material to sex education courses. These are intellectual exit ramps for people that are on the bottom rung of the discourse. But I think the larger exit strategy of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission diffuses any idea of mass arrests and having to inform on their friends by the general population. At any rate, our more elevated opponents are really painted into an ideological corner in many ways. What does this mean? That means that due to their inherent sense of moral superiority, they cannot concede that they are wrong. For under their ideological sun, progress is always good and virtuous. Evil only comes from those that we are progressing away from, like conservatives and religion. Now, if they are shown to be wrong on abortion and euthanasia, then all of their progress comes into question. Gay rights, hate crimes legislation, affirmative action, feminism, radical separation of church and state, the list could go on indefinitely. In fact, we could even say that the concept of Enlightenment progress itself can come into question. The point is that in their minds, if they acknowledge that they promoted and advocated murder for 40 years in the name of progress, they are basically the most evil creatures in history, and all their ideas must be discredited. Yet I believe that by offering them the option of a Truth and Reconciliation Commission, we can give them the opportunity to withdraw on this single issue and allow them to generally preserve the rest. It doesn't mean that we have to agree with the rest or accept the rest of their baggage for that matter, but our objective is the ending of abortion and the threat of euthanasia, not a complete reversal of the sexual revolution, no matter how destructive and erroneous it is. Our opponents would be able to acknowledge their failure, or at least explain their rationale, although they've been doing it for decades anyway, and still maintain the bulk of their bundle of ideas. Thus, the ability for them to retreat with dignity. So I think that's the best place to close this off. I've sufficiently covered this, I believe. So I think we can now move on. By the way, don't be afraid to comment and share your ideas as well. As always, this has been The Bad Catholic. Ave Maria.